Okay, now we have done all 6 parts in the Watcher series, and it has been a pleasure, but also a lot of hard work, especially with the last part for various reasons. And I hope you liked it. And this is a prologue to the Watcher series, and more specific to the last part, Lucifer, the beginning and the end. How can we conclude this series? Well, this is a paradigm I have come to believe, or this is my conclusions, this is my theory, based on a lot of esoteric books, not on YouTube. You can see part of my library behind me. Now, some people talked about references and so on, and had a more academic, universal approach. Well, you have to understand that I've studied 9 years in my university, and I've worked 10 years as a teacher. When you go into the university and use scientific methods and references, footnotes and so on, you become very limited. You can't even use any books you want. It has to be scientific books or researchers who've done similar work as you do, and then you reference to old work. Therefore you are very limited what you can say. And I can't use the scientific paradigm in that respect in my work. This is not an academic work I put together. I can't use references, scientific references. I use esoteric references. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't search the truth for yourself, or if you find something interesting in my lectures, you should search for more information about it. Second, when I do a Neon Bite interview, I have limited time. I can't focus. I have to focus on the most important aspects of what I try to convey. On my channel I can elaborate it. On my channel I have more time to dig into details. And I can do that, and I will do that. Some have asked about Karl Marx. Many have talked about method, and of course this is the most important part when we come to the esoteric paradigm. You have a theory, what we hold to be true, what we believe in, but the most important part is of course method. A method is not a belief. A method should be straightforward, and you should practice the method on your own, and therefore you can validate it on your own. You don't need me to tell me what's true or not, what I believe. I tell you how to reach results through this method, and you have to use it. And then you can come to your own conclusion. If nothing happens within you, then you should question it if you have done it right. You can't go to a gym and train with a flawed method. You won't get any result, or you can even hurt yourself. When we come to the left-hand path, it's very important to have a sharp brain in combination with an intuitivity, because your sharp brain can't take you all the way. You can't rationalize yourself through the metaphysical. The metaphysical is not rational. Sometimes it's just not logic. You will come to a standstill if you try to reason about everything you will experience on the other side. Sometimes you have to go on your intuitive side and ask your intuitive side what to do, how to go forward, or take a step back. Sometimes your brain has to analyze details and then go back and view the full picture of what's going on. Therefore, the tarot deck is a very good method. If you use the Major Arcana, you can go into details into the cards and analyze them. There are many, many different symbology you can analyze from different angles. But then you have to go back and see the full picture. What does this card mean in combination with other cards? And you need a brain that can do both. Some people only have a brain that can analyze details, put in information in the brain. They never see the full picture, and they only tell you as a computer who have been programmed with information. They can't do anything with information because they don't have creativity, imagination, what can be done with the knowledge they have put into the long-term memory. And your cognitive ability is important, and your metacognitive abilities is very important. And with metacognitive abilities, we mean that your ability to observe yourself from an outside perspective, to have a good outlook on yourself, an honest outlook. Who are you? What kind of problems do you have to work with? What is your flaws? What is your strength? And be honest with them. Some of you have advantage in some method because your brain allow you to have this advantage, and some of you will have disadvantage. Is your brain very active? Can you relax? Can you focus? Can you imagine? This all is very important in the left-hand path paradigm. You need wisdom. I don't recommend this method to very young people. Some ask, why didn't I come into this path earlier? Maybe that is for the better, because you weren't ready. And in this method, it's very rough sometimes. And if you do it the wrong way, you can fall and you can hurt yourself. It is better to be wise, take a step backwards if you feel it's overwhelming. I talked a lot about the heart in the last part. Now, if you observe the human race, what condition the human race is in, a lot of manipulation, a lot of war against your body and your brain and your heart. Poison our waters, poison the food, poison the air. It's because you need a healthy temple. It goes with the spirit. And you need a sharp brain. If they manipulate your brain, if they distort your worldview, if they distort your perception of it, then you will have a hard time to figure out where to start. A lot of it is fear-based. They manipulate you with fear, and fear is very hard thing to overcome. The propaganda about the watches, the propaganda about the demons, who they are, makes you afraid to start the journey. And this fear they've used on many different levels. To be afraid is a very bad state. If you are too afraid, you will not transform in this life. You have to be brave. You have to dare. You have to risk. We live in a fear-based society, and they try to change your environment, because if you're in a state of change all the time outside of you, you can't relax, and that is done very deliberately. Fear of money, that you won't be able to pay your rent, fear for your children, fear of failure, keeps the human race back, and that's the purpose. The human race seek stability, they fear change, and even fear themselves, their own greatness, because it is change, even though for the better, but it's still change, and you will change. And when you change to the better, some people will reject you, and then the fear of losing friends and family comes in. A lot of fear. They have attacked your brain from early childhood with brainwashing from television, propaganda, war, strife, and keep your brain in a continued fear-based state. Your heart is the other part they have attacked very hard, besides the brain. And the brain and the heart is of course a part of your temple, your body. But observe what has happened in later years with humanity. According to me, I see a race that doesn't have its intuitive wisdom to discern who are their friends and who are the enemy. When you are a child, you need these skills, and as an adult you need them even more, I would say, because then you're on your own for the most part. Children should be able to rely on their parents, and they can't, because the adults have lost the intuitive feeling of survival, really. They have lost their gut feeling. They can't listen. They are caught up in their brain in a fear-based state. Therefore, they can't reach their intuitive side, their heart side. If you're in a mood of fight or flight, then all the time, then that is where the brain are going to be at. There is no other way around it. Your environment is important. Do you have a house? Do you live in a big city? Do you live on the countryside? Can you relax? They want you to feel fear and despair. It bypasses your heart, and your brain becomes very active, too active, to solve the threat. They come for your soul. They come for your children. And it's very hard for me to accept that the human race cares so little about the children. Their fear makes them indifferent. They don't want to look into the truth. It can't be true, right? It is fear-based. Because if it is true, then their view on society has to change. And society is their parent. They can't get rid of society or the politicians because they have become this people's parents. And parents are kind, right? They want the best for you. When they come against humanity 2020, it was first and foremost for the soul, the human soul, according to me. They came for your heart, because the brain was already cracked within the human race. Not all of humanity, but I'm talking about humanity as a whole. Some people wake up from this, and when we do, we wake up hard. And the brain kicks into gear, and your heart starts to pump. That's great. But now you have to take care of your own newborn fears, because now you're a different human and you feel a loss. When you have overcome that part, that struggle, then you start to come into the esoteric and ask yourself how to transform, how to go forward from this. Now I know that the state, my parents, is a devouring mother and a violent father. You know you're on your own. This is good. For the most of humanity, what I see is that the war for their heart, soul, have taken its toll. For you who still have it, you should ignite it, transform. If you want to help anyone else, that is where you have to start. And there is methods, as I've mentioned. There are ways to go about this. When you have a human race who doesn't care about the offspring, the children, because they are too afraid to protect them against an outside threat, then I say the human race is dying. The human heart is soon dead. If they manage to do it, then the human race is gone. They know it, I know it. I say, it is time for the human race to rise up, wake up, and maybe it has to be that bad that the human race literally lay dying before they wake up. If that's the case, then I have the cure.
Shock advised. Stand clear. Push to shock.
Ooh.